To the third and final Sailor Moon panel of this year's version of Anime North. Just to let you all know, we had a really wonderful time, and thank you. I'm sure they'll all tell you that, but I know I can speak for us. You make us feel incredibly welcome, and you make us know that Sailor Moon is still very vital and very much alive, no matter what happens with it. Thanks so much for your following and your fandom, and for being a part of our experience.
Give them some noise!
I'm going to introduce you to the other members. Those of you, I can see some familiar faces. So, by the way, I'll preface everything by saying you're probably going to hear somebody will ask the same questions. For those of you who have been here before, bear with us. Sometimes the answers are the same because they're our personal stories. So hopefully we'll be able to tell them differently today. To my left, Toby Proctor, Tuxedo Mask. We'll go to the far end. Susan Roman, Sailor Jupiter. Katie Griffin, Sailor Mars. And right here in the middle, the one and only Linda Ballantyne, Sailor Moon. And my name is John Stalker, and I was the voice director. Thank you very much. As is our usual method of conducting our panels, we like to throw it open to you because we want to answer your questions and not presuppose that you want to hear our random ramblings. So why don't we just open it to the floor, as we always do. Put up your hand if you have a question. We'll hopefully get to all of you, and hopefully you have enough questions to keep us for the hour.
This is the first hand up.
Oh, sorry. So I'd like to know what drove you to change the names of the characters from the original Japanese version?
The person who wrote the script in English. We really didn't have any say in it at all. Yep, they just hand us the stuff and say, go, speak. And we go, sometimes we roll over a little bit.
Why was Ray and Amy the only ones with the same name as the Japanese version?
Because Ray's awesome. No, we again, it's the exact same answer. We really didn't have control over any of that, so we have to ask the writer or the translator.
Yeah, remember that the North American market, they don't just do things randomly when something like this is produced. There are focus groups, or they go to marketing and research, and they find out names that North Americans want to hear, and they're very different. When the show is translated perhaps into, say, Spanish or Swahili, the names will probably be different again. So it's just a matter of the particular locale. Also, sometimes it's a matter of lip flap, and if a Japanese name has a certain number of syllables and means a certain thing, you have to match the number of the lip flap, the number of syllables, to say the same thing or get the same meaning.
It's funny. There was a Toronto comedian that basically said, was talking about the translation of Sailor Moon, and said, the name Pat Thornton, a really funny guy, and he said he was able to find out why I was called Tuxedo Mask, because that's exactly what I was wearing. That's it. So I have a feeling that's why I'm called that. So
I was originally nearly naked. It just didn't work.
Way in the back.
I remember when you were at Expo, you mentioned something about a petition for something about bringing another season. Wasn't sure. It has been 6 months. Has anything come out about that?
Boo-hoo, somebody. I can't say.
You want to talk about it? About the new season? About the new series?
Yes.
I don't know anything about the new
Well, we
series.
kind of.
No, we know that it's not here, and we won't be doing?
It'll be in July.
So it's being released in Japanese in July with subtitles, and apparently it's being released in very, very many locations with various subtitles in various languages. And then quite possibly the rights have gone to a company in the United States, so they will probably be dubbing it into English. And people are always asking, that, and somebody's going to ask this question, I'm sure, would you guys like to do the redub or the reboot? And of course the answer would be yes, absolutely. But there are two big obstacles in the way. The first obstacle is that there is a border between Canada and the United States. So as much as we'd like to think it doesn't exist, it does. And there's a union in the United States that takes care of their own actors. And for let's just put it this way, if we were producing a show here in Canada and they brought in the cast from the United States, well, that would not go over very well, because everyone would say, why are you doing that when you have fabulous Canadian actors who could do those roles? So that's what's going to happen in all likelihood, is that it's going to be cast by American citizens who are members of that union. And unfortunately, none of us is American, and none of us is a member of SAG-AFTRA, which is the union that governs, if it does go union. I mean, perhaps it won't. So we wish them all the luck in the world, of course. And we'll, I'll be looking to see who plays Jupes. I'll be sitting there the first time that thing comes on a screen in front of me, and I'll be criticizing everything.
No one can replace you. It won't be as good as you guys.
What just made you guys decide to do Sailor Moon? And like, what drew you to it?
A paycheck.
Actors go when they put out a casting call. It goes to the agents. They call the appropriate people, and we go out. That's what we do all the time. So at that point, Sailor Moon was just another show. We had no idea where it was going to go. You never know where anything is going to go. So you simply respond to a casting call. Go in and do your best and cross your fingers, pray.
Amy. I actually have two questions. First of all, do you ever get tired of coming to panels and seeing all these people that are like obsessing over something that happened like 20 years ago?
Give your head a shake, woman. Give your head a shake. This is like a dream come true. This is awesome. We have a lot of other actor friends who say to us quite often, so how do I get in on this? I'll tell you how. You do the voice of Sailor Moon, that's how you do it. Oh, what? I did? What?
She actually says it just like that. I've been there.
A little bit. Sometimes I do the football.
Yeah! It's like a throwdown. It's Sailor Moon versus the world.
I've watched that.
And for my second question, since it doesn't happen in the anime, and you guys never did it, could we please have Tuxedo Mask propose to Serena finally?
Everybody get your video cameras up. This is a monumental moment in video cameras.
Good thing I brought the rose. Now listen, little buddy, you have something to do for me. You have to woo her. Take her into another destiny direction. Here we go, ready?
Hi, Darien. You're looking very sweet today.
Hey, meatball head. I was wondering if sorry, I just have to go and tie my untied shoe.
Darien, you just kneeled on my toe.
Forget about that. Serena, will you
This is it. This is the moment.
help me tie my shoe?
It's such a disappointment.
All right, fine, I'll just say it. I like hats and masks and tuxedos, and I want to wear a tuxedo at our wedding. Will you marry me? I am Jack.
I'll tell you, when we were walking over, you were going, oh, this is been a long weekend. We always have a lot of fun. We have so much fun doing this. And at the very end, you're going, okay, I'm tired. As soon as we walk in here, it's like, yeah!
Who do you like better, Tuxedo Mask or Moonlight Knight?
Who does she like better, or who do I like better?
Both of you.
For different reasons. Let me see. Wow. Well, you know what? Come on, Tuxedo Mask, right? But the Moonlight Knight, and the only reason I'll say this, and this is a selfish thing, is when I was voicing the Moonlight Knight, you couldn't see his mouth, and it was the easiest thing to do. It was awesome, because we had to worry about lip flap all the time, and then, Moonlight Knight, we're like, oh, I can say anything, and you never know. So I would say, but Tuxedo Mask, because Tuxedo is so classy.
He's hot.
He's hot?
Yeah.
No, he's not.
Yeah.
I choose Darien.
Hold their book there.
I know. That was just me being cheap. I'm a mask. I'm a Tuxedo Mask girl.
Yeah, this is actually two questions. I don't know if you guys saw, there's a guy called the Nostalgia Critic who recently reviewed Sailor Moon. I don't know if you guys saw the video, but could you give your thoughts on that at all?
I have no idea about it at all.
Okay.
I love him.
Is he the guy that talks really, really fast?
Yeah.
I have seen bits and pieces, but I don't know if I saw.
I think he's hilarious. I've seen him do all kinds of other ones. I've seen him do that one, and I think he's absolutely hilarious. And I think he nails it every time. He just calls a spade, you go, oh, ah, yep, that's right. Yeah.
Can you tell us what he said?
He did kind of like an overview for because it starts off basically he's trying to do a formula on how to do a good show, and then he explains all the formulas of Sailor Moon. And then but the thing is that he goes into is the fact that all the transformation scenes, which is one of the most iconic scenes in the show, happens to 14-year-old girls. And he just goes into that whole controversial issue. And but he does explain other things about the show, and he makes jokes here and there, but he's actually really, really funny. He's worth looking up. He has 200 episodes of just doing reviews of stuff from the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
And it's just the second. The second question was, I read an article, I think Toby, you shared it. Megan Fox is interested in doing a Sailor Moon movie. And I think I don't know if she wants to do Sailor Mars or something, but can you give her thoughts on that?
Well, lover or hater, all that means is that it is everywhere. And anything, the way I look at it is, if someone wants, like Megan Fox, who has basically the world's megaphone in some cases, if she wants to push the brand, now it's tough because I can understand from a fan standpoint, it's there's people who are no way. But all that says to me, because it probably won't happen, if it does, I'd be very shocked. But it just says that everybody knew this show and everybody loved it, even Megan Fox. So how crazy is that? That's nuts to us that someone was watching that. She probably does want to do.
I will say this: if she does want to play Sailor Mars, it's pretty good for Sailor Mars' brand. because if she's the star of it, unless she ups the ante, she's a pretty big star for Sailor Moon. I mean, the movie's going to be all about Sailor Mars.
She did ask me to be Moon, but...
Well, that's unless Rob Ford is Tuxedo Mask. Then it's that's everything else.
Oh, no.
Olivia Chow was Sailor Moon.
When you guys got the sheet that said about your character when you were trying out for it, did you know what the age difference was between your love interests, and what was your reaction when you found out that your love interest was so far apart in age?
Well, I'll be straight up. I was a dum-dum. I didn't know. I got into the series in the 11th episode. I replaced somebody, so I didn't get that initial casting notes and all that stuff. I got given a sound bite of Reno Romano, who was the original, and I kind of did something close to it, did the stuff for them, got hired, and then I was going through it. It was only until after I realized, wait a second, she's in school and he's driving a motorcycle? What's going on here? And it was much later, like I said, I wasn't as quick as I probably am now.
And I have a 14-year-old daughter. I'd kill her. I don't care how many roses he has.
Why is it that the entire series didn't end up being dubbed? Like, I think the last series toward the end with the starlights and all that.
We don't know 100% why, but we're pretty sure it's because of the censorship issues. They were finding it hard, I think, to fill episodes, and then by the end, it just went all kinds of crazy. So I think that's why. That's why it shut down.
Yeah, remember you're talking 19 at that time, 1992 to 1995 in there. It's a different world today. You know, we're freer, we're more open, more accepting, right? And you know, everybody reaches out to, you know, to all the whatever, you know, whatever anybody is. Back then, boy, it was a really different world.
How do you feel to be in a love triangle between Sailor Mars and Sailor Moon?
Well, I'm a guy, so for that it was wonderful. No, you know, it was tough because there was always that weird thing where I didn't really understand how he got away with it, really. But I mean, really, I loved Sailor Moon.
Thank you.
Because the future.
Did you hear that, Katie?
I know it's a possible future, past the future, whatever. But.
I was actually secretly rooting for Chad the entire time. Every time Chad came along, I get it, whatever, he's Darien. But I feel like when I was doing the series, Ray was so serious all the time, and it was just as soon as Chad entered the picture, I had a little more fun as a voice actor.
all the money.
Yeah, but he was so goofy, and it was just awesome. So, you know, from a personal standpoint.
Yeah, just for anybody who wants to answer, at any point during the show's production or afterwards, did you guys ever end up sort of seeing some of the Japanese cast, some of the Japanese version of the show or the Japanese script, and just kind of seeing how the performances differed and the content differed?
You know, the more I think about it, we get asked that question, and I go back to the very beginning of this, when the entire city of Toronto was auditioning for this project. And we're talking about the ages. I don't recall that it ever said anywhere that these girls were 14 years old on that script that I first read. And because I auditioned, as I have mentioned a number of times, I read for every single character in this show, and was devastated when I didn't get Sailor Moon because she had the most lines. But, you know, I'm so glad that I got to play Sailor Jupiter. But the point, and I'm very fortunate because it was a really great part. The point is, we saw maybe the first 15 minutes, on the first day we recorded, we were shown maybe 15 minutes of the original Japanese cartoon, or animation, and we sat, and it was, I could not tell you what was going on at all, because there were no subtitles. I don't even know that it had been subtitled at this point. That's how, and I think they kind of like had to smuggle it in from Japan on a, I don't know what flight. Hey, we have the actual Japanese series, episode 1. Don't tell anybody, because it was all completely not heard of. So it's funny, I sit and watch, or I stand and watch, and I walk through this entire anime noir, and I say to myself, it all started with Sailor Moon. Can you get that? Isn't that amazing? I mean, look at the way everybody's dressed, look at the whole experience of being at a con started because Sailor Moon was brought to North America. And it could have gone, in fact, it was probably bid on by an American production house, but the rights were given to a Canadian company. So that's why we're all here. That's why we're all able to participate in this. So it's a real win-win situation for everybody. But I have to emphasize, we knew nothing. And there was no manga, there was nothing. It didn't exist. So, you know, the age of these, who knew? I mean, they looked young when they were in their normal everyday clothes, but when they transformed, to me, they looked like they could have been 42. I don't, all of a sudden with the legs and the look and it's like an attitude. Age is also represented not only by, a calendar year, there's an attitude that comes along with it. And it seemed to me when they transformed, which is one of the magical things, they went from being kind of ditzy to being in control to a certain extent. And that was what was so great about it. It was empowering. It was one of the first times I had ever seen female characters empowered. And
Okay. What are your theories on how a blonde and a brunette made a pink spore?
GMO. Total GMO.
They cut out the episode where she has this thing with, no, never mind.
The flamingo.
Well, actually, my husband had brown hair. Now it's gray because I did that to him. And my hair's dark, and I got a blonde kid. I'm like, where did that kid come from? I don't know, but I don't know.
Hello, sorry. Okay, I'm trying to make sure it's recording. Okay, it's recording. Okay. My question, first I want to say it's so great to have you back here at Anime North.
Thank you.
Thank you. In the past, I know that you were not in control of what happened with how the show came from Japan to the United States and Canada. What was your opinion on the censorship that happened in the United States? Do you agree with it? Do you disagree with it?
I absolutely disagree with it. I mean, that's not the series. So I feel like I understand why it happened. I understand that they have, certain rules about, I think there was John was mentioning a hot tub scene with 14-year-old girls and, a very...
70-year-old men.
Yes. So maybe that...
Not that there's
That might be a problem, but...
Hold on a second, you got that?
So welcome to my last con. Also censorship. I mentioned this at another panel, and for those of you again who've heard it before, forgive me. But to answer you, that censorship goes beyond just the sort of the sexual thing, bathing naked with whatever. But it also goes to things like carrying weapons, which you can't show on American cartoons, like an open sheathed knife. You just can't show it. And even things like I've had to deal with kids on a bicycle without a helmet. Now the film, the elements come from Japan. People riding without helmets. You can't do that here, especially with a kid. You could show an adult because everyone has his or her own choice to of course, to ride a bike at this point without a helmet. But children have to be protected. So something has to be done in terms of reanimating, which is very expensive, or editing the scene, which was the norm for Sailor Moon because everything was on a tight budget. They didn't have money for anything. It's like the fastest, dirtiest way to get it done. And I don't mean that negatively. I mean that was just the nature of that beast. Get it done.
What do you guys foresee happening with the future of localization in the next couple of years, like that sort of stuff?
You know what? It's really going south of the border. I think they're doing it so cheap and so fast, and they're good at it.
And it's non-union.
And it can be non-union or it can be union.
It's easily accessible because of that, yeah.
Yeah.
Texas is a right-to-work state. They work for, they'll undercut anybody.
Yeah. Yep, and they're pretty good.
So I know you guys come to conventions a lot and such. Have you ever thought about spicing it up by maybe cosplaying as your characters?
Well, we actually are. I convinced everybody last night. We're all going to come as our characters next year. Okay?
He's of course lying.
I'm sorry, I probably was
sometimes.
What do I wear?
Well, yeah.
Toby and I in a few weeks are doing North by Northeast, the music festival, and they're having, what is it called?
Fan fiction.
Fan fiction, and they have a Sailor Moon thing. And they have asked us to appear in costume.
I did it last year. It was insanely liberating.
He was in a tuxedo. I would be half naked. 3 baby body, half naked. And I said to them, oh, come on, that's not fair. They said, well, Toby's doing it. I said, I don't care. And they went, everybody else is doing it.
The only way that might be fair is if I came as Tuxedo Mask.
I'm looking for a gold lame speedo now. That's what I would be taking.
And I will be doing lunges until that day.
If you could have voiced any other character besides your own, who would it have been and why?
Jupiter, thunder, crash!
Wow, that's not good. Do that. Do yours right now. Do that. That's close. Do that.
What?
Do yours.
Jupiter, thunder, crash!
Come on.
He kind of reminds me of the old boyfriend.
You know, it could have gone either way for me, because when I got it, I auditioned for Ray, and then when we started doing the series, Sailor Mercury and I sounded identical. We started off where we really had to change our voices, and she ended up doing the really, really high-pitched voice, but that's sort of, that's sort of my Alex from Totally Spies voice, so it could have, I guess, gone that way, where Ray could have had this crazy, she could have had Sailor Mercury's voice, but I'm happy she did. I'm happy to be Ray. Ray was good.
Not have it. We have no
What do you guys like to do for fun in your free time?
Oh, that's a good question.
Sorry, what was the question?
What do you guys like to do for fun during your free
I
time?
love that question.
Fun.
I know what you like to do.
Well, I know what I like to do. I'm a maniac gardener, so I'm always outside with my hands in the soil, and that's where I'm the happiest. And actually, my garden is going to be on the Beaches Garden Society tour this summer, so
When I'm not hanging out, I have 2 little boys. I have a 7-year-old and a 3-year-old, so when I'm not hanging out with them, I'm so excited for the summer. I'm so who's happy that it's warm out finally? We lived, I feel like this winter felt like 4 years of winter. So I'm so happy, so I'm so excited to hang out with them, but I also love to play hockey, so I'm playing hockey, and I also sing.
I love running, but this has been the worst winter ever, so I haven't done it at all, and I feel like a little slovenly pig. But I'm about to start again, that's all there is to it.
Well, I like to just perform a few B&Es. I love breaking and entering. I love stealing. I don't do that anymore. Maybe. I'm still a skateboarder. I still skateboard, and I am a BMXer at times. And mostly, I am chasing my 3 kids and hoping they don't swallow anything small.
Like my counterpart at the bar and the other bookend, I too love my gardening and my landscaping. It's a little bit different. I live rurally. I live on 13 acres way out in the country. So my gardening is like, big rocks and, and I like to build my own rock gardens and put in fences. And my spare time, you'll see me, on my lawn tractor or with a chainsaw in my hand. It's true. And in my greasy old overalls and an old sweatshirt, and that's where I'm the happiest, up my bush.
Hi, with the new Sailor Moon coming out in Japan, how much do you want it to stay the same and how much do you want it to change?
Oh, that's a good question.
So are you saying, how do you mean
The censorship? Well, anything like in general. Do you want it to be the same? Or do you
I want it to be the very same voices as it was before. I don't like change, I don't want change. I want it to be done, I want to see it. I would actually like to see them just pull out the stops and just go, let's go for it, because when you guys were all watching, you were young. and now you're not young. And so I think it would be kind of nice to pay you guys back and give you kind of the adult versions. I think that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, but the point is, we have to figure out, what demographic. Now, you understand that, what that is. Who is the film aimed at, the series aimed at? Are they aiming it at, say, 12 to 16 years old? Are they aiming it for young adults, for 20 to 30? Are they aiming it for 6 to 10? Because whatever group they're aiming at, whatever demographic group they want to watch this show, it's going to have to be tailored for that group. So I know so many times people say, oh, they wrecked it, they changed it so much from the original. The original was on at night for an adult audience when it first came out. That has to be remembered. And somebody felt that it would be really great for kids to watch it, because it was, inspiring, especially young girls. How great is that? So it's an interesting conundrum. I wonder if in Japan, any young girls were allowed to watch Sailor Moon when it was on at night. I kind of think maybe not, because I don't know that it was really appropriate for, say, a 6-year-old or 7-year-old girl to watch the original. So, and that's, everybody, a lot of people here have seen the original series. Would it be appropriate for a 6 or 7-year-old Japanese girl to watch it at night?
Yeah.
No?
Nephrite got skewered.
Sorry? She got skewered?
Yeah, Nephrite got skewered. Green blood
And your
everywhere.
point is? No, that's kind of hard to take, I think, if you're 6 or 7. And what about when the transformations are done? Do we see quite a lot of body when the transformation circles? Yeah, is that appropriate for a 6 or 7-year-old girl at 9 o'clock at night? So that's my point. The point is they're going to figure out who is the audience. And I think it will be tailored to that. That's just my 47 cents worth.
And just to add to that, if I had to put money down on it, it's all going to come down to merchandising. So they are going to gear it for young girls because they will want to sell more merchandise.
Good point.
Wait, have you seen any of the merchandise they've had come out in Japan lately? They have like wallets, jewelry, bras.
Yes,
It's insane.
I saw that there's a Sailor Mars doll where you spread her hair out. It's just, she looks pretty wicked. I have to say, she looks pretty wicked.
The makeup too, is it?
Oh yeah, there's a makeup line. We just heard that there's a makeup line.
Well, eyeliner, liquid eyeliner. I bought a bunch from Japan. They're like all geared for like 20-year-olds, and they make full bra outfits with the sailor collars now and the bows.
And so where did you find this? Because I'm totally going over it.
But
you were there.
And they have a site called J-List, which also has J-Box, which is a little more PG, but they have a lot of them for pre-order, like last year that they came out this year. And it's all sorts of everything now.
Wow.
It's fully geared to adults now, because they know that I'll just grew up with it, and they're completely gearing it to that now.
Crazy dwarfs.
Yes.
I think you just made a new best friend.
Fighting scenes.
What's that?
Why do you like to leave some of the sick fighting scenes in Sailor Moon?
Again, I would say probably for the censorship. I know, censorship sucks.
Go ahead. It was behind you, Jack. 2 seconds.
Other than Sailor Moon, what was your favorite project to work on for voice acting? Like other than just like, what would you say other than Sailor Moon, your favorite project to work on?
That's a good question.
Favorite projects? Like outside of, okay, so absolutely, I love Jukes, but my other favorite thing in the entire world, I have to admit, was Snowy the dog in Tintin. So I can tell you a quick little story about that. When I went in to audition for it, Snowy used to talk. And originally, he spoke. So there were lines for him. So I sat in the audition room, and in those days I used to do a lot of little boy voices. And I looked around in the room, and there was me, a woman, a girl at the time, and about 3 or 4 kids, like boys, like 8 or 9. And I looked at them and I said, you guys don't have to pay a mortgage. What the heck are you doing here? So this was when they first started. They thought, well, hey, why don't we get some real boys to play little boys, thereby putting all of the women out of work who had been playing little boys for the last 10 years. So I wasn't pleased to see these guys. Anyway, I go into the audition, I read Snowy's lines. So Snowy did talk, so he'd say, the things were, oh, Tin Tin, hey, look, there's a cliff, let's fall over it. These were always falling. So I read my lines, and then I was about to leave, and they said, oh, wait, Susan, it's a dog. Can you do some barking? And I went, what? Barking? And I hadn't, can you imagine? It had never occurred to me that I might have to bark. So I said, 1 second. So I went, I said, okay, I'm fine. So I just stood there, and I had never barked in my entire life, and I had a big dog, and he was like, but I just went, and I said, oh my God, I can do it. So this is the thing. When they asked those kids to go in and lay down the barking, I bet every one of those kids, those young guys, went, yeah, right. So then they took the lines away, and the only person who barked was moi. So I got the bark. 43 episodes.
I have a few favorites. I finished 6 seasons of Totally Spies, and I played Alex, and I love Alex because she was super sweet, and because we did so many seasons, I feel really close to Alex as well as Sailor Mars. But I did another show that wasn't quite as popular. We only did 1 season called Team Galaxy, and I played Yoko, and I sang the titles track, and she was awesome, and she was like this crazy karaoke. They were from outer space, but it just didn't. It wasn't a good dynamic because actually Brian Dobson was also in it. He's gone now. He's left over, but. Yeah, it was just a weird dynamic because there was Yoko, and then there was a little kid, Brett. It was just, I think that it kind of failed because they didn't all click together, but I loved doing Yoko because she was just such a nut. So.
What does she sound like?
Well, she had a bit of a raspy voice, so it kind of works like this. Okay, let's talk like this, and then she'd start singing.
Great, I love it.
Thank you, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I miss her. Oh, you do. You miss the characters that are all of a sudden gone. You're like, no, don't let that one go away. For me, the thing that I love more than anything is playing a villain. Villains are like it to me. Because the villains think that they... Yeah, see that? I did that.
Don't diss the villains.
Right. The villains are the ones that just think that they own the world, and they own it, and they've got it, and they're going to win, and then everything just crumbles at the end, and they can't believe it, and they always lose. And I love that, because there's nothing better than going, no! So my favorite one is I played this character called Wicked in Cyber Chase. And she was just this crazy witch who just, she was supposed to be a one-off character. It was only going to be 1 episode, and she was just so much fun, they kept writing her back in the script. And she was like, well, hacker, look at you. Better still, look at me. And she was always just losing her stuff big time.
I did the voice of Flash Gordon for the Flash Gordon series, and it was my first big lead. But in honest thought, Tuxedo Mask for sure. It was it for me. It's it. It's gonna be it. That's it. It's my swan song. See you later.
Further to the villains. For me, the best role in animation is the villain's sidekick. The villain's sidekick always has a really soft heart. Always desperately wants to side with the good guys, but hangs around the bad guy because I guess it's a good paying gig, right? And so for me, and I've done a number of them, but the first one that I ever did still stands out in my life as favorite character I've ever played. and that's Beastly from Care Bears.
What did he sound like, John?
Yes, you heard. Yes, heart. I don't know what I mean.
I love my childhood.
I know you probably get this question a lot, but what was your most memorable thing offset for all of you?
First, when we did Sailor Moon?
Yeah.
You know, it's funny because we never got to go in really with each other. We would be going in by ourselves for the most part. And so you'd just be like two ships that passed in the night. And one of my favorite things always was seeing Little Sugar baby. I tell you, that girl, you could go in there at 9 o'clock in the morning and she's got these boys. And it was like, really? You wake up with that voice? And she'd always call me Mom. Hi, Mom. And I'd be like, oh, shut up. It's too much. It's too much. Go away. So I loved seeing her. She's just a little sweetheart. She's about this big. You can put her in your back pocket. You guys have anything?
Well, you know what, as far as offset, I think, to be honest, my most favorite moment because of Sailor Moon was my very first convention. And that was the start of all of this for me. I was called to San Jose, California just after YTV started airing Sailor Moon. And I got called to go down to San Jose, and I thought, oh, a convention, cool. I didn't even know what it was. My agent came with me, and I was 20 at the time. And we got picked up from the airport, and we're driving into this huge complex. It was like this, where there were several other hotels and stuff. But there was like 10,000, 20,000 people on site. I didn't know that. And as we pulled up to the front doors, we just kept driving, and I was, oh, no, dude, this is where we're going. He goes, oh, I know, sir, but they've told us they can't handle you guys. They don't have security for this. I'm like, are you serious? This is for us? And it was just droves of people. It was my first optics of what this would become. And we actually couldn't go into the regular elevators. They made us go through the kitchen elevators to the penthouse because that's how we had to enter the building. I was like, oh, wait, what? This is like Elvis. This isn't Sailor Moon. And the entire weekend was spent in front of thousands of people like yourself doing Q&As and doing autograph sessions for hours and hours and hours. And that was the first foray into knowing what Sailor Moon was to me, beyond walking into this weird little room, saying a few words, and walking out thinking no one would ever hear of it. And then 20 years later, you guys sit here, and I gotta say, thank you so much, guys. We can't thank you enough.
I actually feel sorry for the people that have to do this new dub. I really do. I really feel sorry because I feel like your expectations are going to be huge. So I feel like those are tough shoes to fill. So I am kind of rooting for them that they can come, bring it out for everybody, for all the fans. So just saying. Yep.
I was just wondering, when they brought the show over to North America, I know that they probably did a lot of research and probably must have had a lot of faith in it, otherwise they wouldn't have done so. But in terms of you guys when you first started, how much faith did you think the show would really get as big as it has? I mean, did you ever have that moment where you go to work and just kind of think like, oh, I hope something doesn't happen, like the fan base doesn't drop, like it's canceled, or did you really know the whole time it was
Fan base? No, that's a really good question, if whether or not we knew or suspected. Now, first of all, you have to understand, we were accustomed to doing Canadian cartoons, and Canadian cartoons, as you all know, usually go nowhere. So of course we had no expectations. I mean, come on. And that sounds like really disloyal, because there is incredibly a good quality production done here in Toronto. But especially at that point in time, it was our animation was made for us. It was kind of like a local thing. One of the series that I did at that point was called The Raccoons, which is it's an extremely gentle show, and to me it's typically Canadian. And it's always astonishing to me when I meet Americans who've actually seen it and watched it, because it seems to me it's so quintessentially Canadian and subdued and low-key. But to get back to what you're saying, where are you? Oh, there you go. About whether or not we thought that it would be as successful as it was, absolutely no way in the world could we have expected that. But what I do remember is that I thought, this is really different, and I like it. And I sometimes think, I use myself as a little bit of a barometer, and I looked up at the animation, and so I'm, with no sound, I'm just looking at the animation, and I'm about to put my voice to it. And I looked at the animation and I said, I love this animation. It's so alive. And I'd never seen anything like it before. So to me, that was a really positive sign. But if it would be as successful as it was, I don't think any one of us could seriously say that we suspected or knew that. And it took time, right? Because it had to go through that first season. So we're still recording while it's, being put out there, and at first it was on at terrible times, like we don't promote our stuff properly, hello, come on, it's just crazy. And when we go to the States, as if it weren't bad enough, a lot of those kids watched it at 5 a.m. So there's stories, little girls getting up, and I remember this one girl said, well, I had to sneak downstairs so that my mom and my dad wouldn't hear me, because I wasn't really supposed to watch television without them being there. And she said, and I'd climb onto the kitchen counter and I'd get out the box of cereal and I'd sit there and I'd watch Sailor Moon at 5 a.m. before going to school. We heard this story over and over again. What kind of cockamamie person puts on a cartoon or a show that they want to be a hit at 5 a.m.? And it still was a hit. What do you say? Imagine if it had been put on at a decent hour in the States. I mean, anyway.
The other thing is when we do shows, people say, oh, what are you working on right now? Or what was that audition for? And you'll maybe say, oh, Mia and me. And they'll say, never heard of it. Well, yeah, you haven't heard of it because we're just making it now. So that's kind of what it was also like, right, for these guys. No one had heard of it. They're just going, oh. Unless they maybe knew something about the Japanese stuff, but nobody really did because we didn't have the internet back then. Way back in the day.
Yeah. I'm so glad I got to finally meet you guys. I love the show. I was just wondering if I can hear some of your power-up moves, like you the power and Mars.
Looks like we're going to be doing this, guys. I say we get up and I say get your devices ready.
And you thought you wouldn't have to.
You shouldn't ask.
This will be the last time I say this week, but I have a cold, so I have to improvise it a little bit. Last time. I did say this will be the last time. So it might be a little off. Do you want to start it off?
I'll start. All right, are we all ready?
Yeah.
Are we ready for some girl power? Okay. Jupiter, thunder, crash! Mars, fire, ignite! Moon, cosmic power!
That's all I got. Hey, meatballhead. I lost my rose.
If you had to, what would you do?
Serena. Well, apparently there was one. Tuxedo, the smoking bomber.
Oh, yell Serena!
Serena? Hey, meatballhead. What are you doing here? I thought for sure you'd be over there with your friends, especially since you're acting like total fools.
Who has not asked us a question?
Not today.
Or now?
Almost. Sorry, 5, yeah.
2 or 3 minutes?
Yeah.
I was wondering if, other than Sailor Moon, you've watched other magical girl shows and what you thought of them watching since Sailor.
So there was Wonder Woman. It's not quite the same. I feel like they were the pioneers of. There were a lot of men that were strong and saving lives. Total Spies was after. I think she was saying.
No, any
ones where it's the females that's the main character?
Well, totally spies. And we had really, really wicked gadgets all the time. Hair dryers that did things. Compacts.
Communicators.
Yes. So cool. Every week we would be very excited to see what gadgets we would get.
Lipstick laser.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Have you guys ever read any Sailor Moon fan fictions?
That's the question you thought you would pick.
Why do I get the feeling you read all the controversial stuff? I read it when I'm going to bed.
Can you guys tell us how you met your significant spouse?
Wow. That's a good question too. I love these because we have to
Do it quick.
I will be so quick. So years ago, because I am a singer, I wrote a few songs randomly with my guitar, and I thought I need a demo. At the time, X-Files was shooting in Vancouver, and they wanted me to audition, but I didn't have a singing demo. So I couldn't sort anything out. I had a little silly karaoke machine and it was terrible. Anyway, yes, I will speed it up. So anyway, I wrote a bunch of songs. It turned out to be 10 songs, and then a friend of mine said, well, you have to do an album. We're going to do an album, and I know who's going to do your album. He used to be in a band called James. So I don't know if anyone knows James. The song Laid, anyway. So he said, you're going to meet this guy, and he said, and by the way, you're going to marry him. And I'm going to be at table 69. This is literally what the producer said. So Michael walked in, and he had a bit of a Scottish accent because he had just come back from the UK from touring with James. And he said, yes, I'm going to produce your album. And he was absolutely gorgeous. And we hit it off right away. And I knew, yes, this is the one. And then, there was no funny business while the album was going on, but there was all kinds of long lingering staring and whatever. And then, of course, I married him. So that's how we met. It's a cliche.
And my brother worked on the show Tech War. He's an art director. Yep, that was a William Shatner one. And my husband, not at the time, his brother worked on that show as well. And they were having the wrap party for it. And so we kind of both came as each other's brother's dates. Does that make sense? No way. I was my brother's date. Much of a loser as I am. I know. Because my brother was like, oh, just come. Everybody wants you to go to this thing. I'm like, okay. And I saw Jim across the crowded floor. And we watched each other. We looked at each other for a long time. And finally he walks over and I go, took you long enough. And then he said, you want to play pool? And I said, well, do you want to be partners? And he said, for life? And I went, oh, buddy, back off. And then I married him.
I was actually at a friend's restaurant. I had injured myself. I was in crutches, so I could not run fast away. And I was just basically about to leave, and one of my friends said, hey, we're having some friends come down. And okay. And then this girl walked through the door, and it was one of those things. It was at first sight. And we had a few tequila. And there was some ice cubes involved, and a wet shirt after mine, not hers, and then, no, that was horrible. And then basically we had a date, our first date, and we never left each other's side, and we have 3 kids now. Tequila and ice, guys, that's all you need.
When my first marriage broke up, I decided to become more social and went to a bar. Decided to become kind of a regular at the bar, which is, you kill 2 birds with 1 stone, sort of. And I became a regular at the bar looking for, just to meet somebody, and I met and married the bartender.
Okay, you know what? We're out of time now, you guys, but I wanted to take this last few moments to thank Anime North, to thank all of the people that we have been dragging them around. These guys, you have no idea what they have to put up with. These guys and these things does not happen without all of guys here.
Over there, too.
These guys are brilliant. Yeah, over there. Joel over here is very keen to it all, and he's been looking for his marbles all weekend.
If you find them,
He
please.
lost his marbles the first day.
If you find them, keep them. I'm doing well, Beth.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.